Crusader squads make up the bulk of the crusading forces of the Black Templars, the successors to the Imperial Fist. They represent Space Marines at all phases of their life, from the time they are neophytes to fully fledged Space Marines all the way to veterans leading their younger compatriots into battle. Hello everybody, my name is Spoons Rattling, and welcome to another video covering the Black Templars Crusader squads. Of course, these guys are a battle line choice for the Black Templars, the successors of the Imperial Fists. They have a lot of ranged weapons, 20 to be specific. So, the plasma pistol comes in two different stat lines, standard or overcharged. At standard, it's one attack that hits on 3s at 12-inch range with strength 7, AP 2, and damage 1. It can overcharge to go up to strength 8, AP 3, and damage 2, but it gains hazardous. The bolt gun is two attacks that hit on 3s at 24-inch range with strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. The bolt pistol is one attack that hits on 3s at 12-inch range with strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. The flamer is torrent, ignores cover with d6 attacks that auto-hit at 12-inch range with strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. The Melt-A-Gun is Melt-A-2 at one attack that hits on 3s at 12-inch range with strength 9, AP 4, and damage d6. The Plasma Gun comes in standard and overcharge as well. They are both rapid fire 1, with one attack that hits on 3s at 24-inch range with strength 7, AP 2, and damage 1. It can overcharge to go up to strength 8, AP 3, and damage 2, but it gains hazardous. The Heavy Bolter is heavy and sustained hits 1, with 3 attacks that hit on 4s at 36-inch range with strength 5, AP 1, and damage 2. The Las Cannon is heavy, with one attack that hits on 4s at 48-inch range, with strength 12, AP 3, and damage d6 plus 1. The Missile Launcher has two different profiles. The Missile Launcher has Crack, that is heavy, with one attack that hits on 4s at 48-inch range, with strength 9, AP 2, and damage d6. The Missile Launcher Frag has Heavy and Blast, with d6 attacks that hit on 4s at 48-inch range, at strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. The Storm Bolter is Rapid Fire 2 at 24-inch range, two attacks that hit on 3s at strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. The Plasma Cannon is Blast and Heavy at 36-inch range, with D3 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 7, AP 2, and damage 1, and overcharging gives you Hazardous, strength 8, AP 3, and damage 2. The Multi-Melta has Melta-2, Heavy, 18 inches range, two attacks that hit on 4s, and strength 9 at AP 4 and damage d6. The Grav Gun has Anti-Vehicle 2 plus 18-inch range, two attacks that hit on 3s at strength 5, AP 1, and damage 2. The Grav Cannon has Anti-Vehicle 2 plus heavy, 24-inch range, with 3 attacks that hit on 4s at strength 6, AP 1, and damage 3. The Grav Pistol is Anti-Vehicle 2 plus 12-inch range with one attack that hits on 3s at strength 5, AP 1, and damage 2. Inferno Pistol, which is Melta-2, 6-inch range with one attack that hits on 3s at strength 8, AP 4, and damage d3. The Hand Flamer, which is Torrent, ignores cover, d6 attacks that auto-hit at 12-inch range with strength 3, AP 0, and damage 1. The Astartes Shotgun, which has Assault, two attacks that hit on 3s at 18-inch range with strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. And the Heavy Flamer, finally, is ignores cover, Torrent, d6 attacks that auto-hit at 12-inch range with strength 5, AP 1, and damage 1. Whew. So this is 20 different weapon profiles, so this was obviously quite a mouthful to record. But, from there, I'm going to give my thoughts on some of the weapons. A few of them I think are rather underwhelming. The Plasma Cannon, the Heavy Bolter, the Heavy Flamer I think are all rather so-so. The Missile Launcher is middle of the pack. In terms of the special weapons, I think the Grav Gun and the Plasma Gun stick their head out above the rest. Though I suppose they do have a little bit of competition from the Melt-A-Gun, which offers that extra little bit of anti-tank punch should they get in close. And the Astartes Shotgun, I will mention, only goes on the Neophytes, which are the scout models, effectively. And I would say, if you do bring them, I think it's a fine choice over their other option, which is a melee weapon, which we will be getting to in a moment. I did want to give this a little bit of extra time, just to admire how long this list is, that I had to split the stats page in two, with also the core stats being split up. This is 20 different weapon profiles, which is just absolutely immense. And I think is the most amount of weapons on one model, or one unit in the entirety of 40k, and if it isn't, I dread the day I cover that unit. Overall, though, most of these weapons are fairly so-so, with things like the Las Cannon and the Plasma Gun really sticking their head above the rest, for the main goal that these guys are only 85 points for 5 normally armored Space Marines. We are going to move on to the rest of their stats, now that we've had that long-winded description of their ranged weapons. And they come in at quite a strange sort of points cost. It's 85 points for 1 Sword Brethren and 4 Initiates. Then you can add on 5 Neophytes, which brings you up to 135 points. Or you could add on 5 other initiates, so standard Space Marines, which brings you to 150 points, or you can bring the max of everything at 270 points for 20 models. They have the standard Space Marine stat line. They 6 inches move, toughness 4, 3+ save, 2 wounds, leadership 6+, and OC 2, and the Neophytes have a 4+ save. In terms of melee weapons, they have the close combat weapon, 2 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. The combat knife gets an extra attack at 3 that hit on 3s at strength 4, AP 0, and damage 1. The chainsword has 4 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 4, AP 1, and damage 1. The power fist is 2 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 8, AP 2, and damage 2. The power weapon is 3 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 5, AP 2, and damage 1. The thunder hammer is devastating wounds, 2 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 8, AP 2, and damage 2. And the lightning claws are twin linked with 4 attacks that hit on 3s at strength 4, AP 2, and damage 1. And this unit can reroll advance and charges as their main ability. Sorry, it's a lot of talking, even more so than my regular videos. In terms of loadout, every model comes standard with a bolter, bolt pistol, and close combat weapon. One initiate may replace his bolt gun with one of the following, either a flamer, melta gun, plasma gun, heavy bolter, las cannon, missile launcher, plasma cannon, multi-melta, grav gun, grav cannon, heavy flamer, power weapon, or power fist. And one initiate can have his bolt gun replaced with one of the following: a flamer, a grav gun, a melta gun, or a plasma gun. This allows you to bring one heavy and one special weapon. And then any number of initiates can have their bolters replaced with chain swords, and any number of neophytes can replace their bolt guns with one of the following, either a combat knife or a shotgun, which I think the shotgun is a fine upgrade to the bolter, just for the assault, but even then I don't think it really matters. In terms of the best ones, obviously the las cannon comes to mind, and I would say the plasma gun is the best secondary weapon, though I suppose if you wanted to build for melee, bringing another power weapon wouldn't hurt just to get more attacks on this unit since they're rather low attack. The Sword Brother can have their bolt gun and bolt pistol replaced with either twin lightning claws or 2 different weapons from the following list. That would be 1 Astartes chainsword, 1 bolt pistol, 1 bolt gun, 1 combi weapon, 1 grav pistol, 1 plasma pistol, 1 storm bolter, 1 power fist, 1 power weapon, 1 thunder hammer, 1 hand flamer, or 1 inferno pistol. And he can only be equipped with 2 different ranged weapons if one of them is a pistol, and only one of them can be a pistol. In terms of what I would say is probably some of the best, the lightning claws are a pretty solid melee weapon just to give you extra attacks, really. Though I think a storm bolter and power fist or power weapon would be a fine loadout for him, or even one of the fancy pistols if you so desired. Maybe not the Inferno pistol, given these guys' roll, but if you are playing them hyper-aggressive, I suppose the Inferno pistol won't hurt in melee. Though this guy's very customizable, so really just bring whatever you think looks the coolest. He's not going to be doing most of the damage at range. Just make sure you give him a melee weapon, as that will drastically improve the squad's melee. In terms of buffing options for these guys, surprisingly, it's very limited. They can't be led by any of the epic heroes from the Black Templars, so it's mainly just the core characters. The captain is a melee character, and these guys can be built for melee, but it's rather inefficient. And he is significantly better with Assault Intercessor, since he's, obviously this guy's more melee, and these guys will generally be used more as a ranged unit. Lethal hits are very good, though there's not an impossible chance they already have that from the Vows, and I would say there's better units to give lethal hits to at range, like Hellblasters, for example. The Chaplain, they could be surprisingly punchy, nothing insane, but the attack count is the main thing that holds them back. Even if you give them all chain swords and the lightning claws, you're only looking at, 16 attacks, which isn't very great. The Ancient, as per usual, doesn't offer very much, leave him at home. The Apothecary generally likes to revive very high-value models, and these guys tend to be more objective camper models, not necessarily your main damage-dealing combo. And they don't do enough to really justify an Apothecary, in my opinion. The Librarian can give them a 4+ invulnerable save, and a huge unit of 20 of them would be very tough to kill with a 4+ invulnerable save, but I'm not sure that's necessarily what I would consider a great strat when you could use the Primaris Marines instead. The Tech Marine doesn't really want to lead things, and these guys aren't very different, and similar to the Judiciary, he likes to be with something very dangerous, even though these guys appreciate getting strike first. In terms of detachment, they can do grunt work and gladius, as per usual. They do like the advance and shoot to get to those objectives. If they are sitting on an objective in Anvil, the +1 to wound on the las cannon is very nice. Iron Storm is actually probably their best detachment, funnily enough, since they will have that las cannon in the unit usually. If they're just standing around, they'll be very accurate, and you'll have either a hit, wound, or damage reroll, which could make them, in a pinch, they could finish off a wounded vehicle very, very easily. There's not a lot to say about that. They're just good in Iron Storm. They do like assault to move faster, and the extra strength is nice if you're using them in a more aggressive way than just camping. Stormlance, they can be an okay melee unit, so advance and charge is good, but they generally prefer to shoot their guns, which Stormlance doesn't let them do. First Company, I've said this a million times, sucks, and these guys don't have the veteran keyword. In terms of Righteous Crusaders, they do like all the buffs from the Vow, and they do offer pretty solid firepower, especially with how melee-focused the Templars are. These guys can be a nice auxiliary shooting unit as your Primaris Crusader squads charge up. We're going to move on to competitors now. In terms of competitors, the Intercessors come to mind immediately for just general objective grabbers. They're all cheaper except for the heavy Intercessors, and Assault Intercessors pack surprisingly a lot more melee than these guys do. Even though these guys get the extra Power Fist, the overall attack increase and reroll wounds is just much more powerful from the Assault Intercessors. Normal Intercessors can tag objectives very well, and these guys do pack a lot more ranged punch, which does earn them a place that is very special for just camping an objective. And while not, like, world-shattering, the Las Cannon can very quickly earn their points back. And then in terms of, like, Crusader squads in their archetypical way, it's just better to run the Primaris ones. If you're running a large squad of them, which isn't unusual for Black Templars, it's just hard to deny that the Primaris Marines do it better. They've got more attacks. Even though they don't have the ranged guns, they can still bring things like Pyre Blasters to deal with hordes of infantry, and they, of course, deal with them very efficiently themselves, and with scouts, they get to the field faster. So if you're going for a big investment Crusader unit, definitely use the Primaris version. So the best use for these guys is pretty standard. You want to equip them for range damage, so bring the Las Cannon, and then probably the Plasma Gun, just because it's the longest range special weapon, and set them up on an objective, and they will be able to plink at enemies very efficiently. I'd say equip the last two normal Marines with chain swords, and give a melee weapon to the Sergeant, so they have at least a little bit of melee threat. But aside from that, there's really not too much to say about them. They're just a pretty efficient unit for just sitting on objectives and dealing good damage to things like tanks every so often, especially in a place like Ironstorm. Though I would say that for the more archetypical Black Templars playstyle, they aren't exactly what I would consider melee monsters, and are far surpassed by their more modern brethren, and it also hurts that they can't use the excellent roster of Black Templars characters, which does really hurt these guys, because those units are just so innately powerful. And the Vows are mainly melee slanted, and these guys' melee is only so-so. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video covering the first of the Black Templars units. I've been Spoons Rattling. I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you all in the next video.